All right, welcome back, Aggies. We got a lot to talk about and discuss now the early signing day is over. Um, I've been working on leveling up, so hopefully you notice some of the differences, which is why it's taken a week to get back to you after early signing day. But buckle up because we got a lot to go over. Okay, so the first news of the day is the bowl game has been canceled. Gator Bowl is off. The Aggies have a COVID outbreak, and that's going to leave us with very few scholarship players. So we're just basically not going to play this game. It's probably for the best. We've got a lot of things to think about. Only 13 scholarship players, last I heard, were on defense, remained. So that's not really a good recipe for success, whether or not you're trying to win the game or just come out of the game healthy and play in a respectable manner. With the lack of practice, I don't really think it's a good idea to move on there. So that is what it is, and I hate to use that cliche of a phrase, but it is something we're going to have to deal with. So it's off, and I wanted to get that revenge on Wake Forest. We had talked about this and everything that went back to that game back in 2017. But hey, I really like where we're at, and we got so much more to get to anyways other than that. Talk about the COVID stuff later perhaps as it affects sports. But we have an early signing day class right now that is number one. Check that. Hear that. Number one. And we need to talk about how that sort of shaped up and what it looks like, how it became, and what it's going to take to replicate. So just a few things off the top of the charts. We had the number one defensive lineman, the number one tight end, and you could arguably say that we probably had the number one class in both of those areas, especially taking Donovan Green as a tight end as well, and quarterback. So we may have owned three different categories in this class overall. We had the number two quarterback in Connor Weigman. Our cornerback class is second to none in my opinion so far. We're going to talk about all those. So again, we got the number one defensive lineman in Walter Nolan, the number four defensive lineman Dindy, and the number seven in Anthony Lucas out of Arizona. The number three edge in Anai White. So we're starting to make differentiations on these defensive linemen now. If you haven't noticed in the rankings, there's just a regular defensive lineman, talking about interior tackle type of guy and an edge. So we got the number two wide receiver in Evan Stewart and the number six wide receiver in Chris Marshall. And that was an area of need that we came in needing. We've talked about it all year long. We need consistent hands. We need a deep threat. And both of these guys are that. In particular, Evan Stewart, who is probably going to match up really, really well with Demas, hopefully either next year or the following year. See how that plays out. Tight end Jake Johnson and Donovan Green both have hands that seem to seep sap out of them. If you watch their film, they don't drop balls, and we love that sort of stuff, right? Again, number two quarterback Connor Weigman. The number three cornerback, Denver Harris, again, a five-star recruit, though. The number seven safety, and then we finished up with the number nine offensive tackle on P.J. Williams, but don't forget we added Cam Dewberry as well. And so he was kind of a late add. We'd had P.J. for a while, and he is a top 100 prospect. We got 15 top 100 guys. 15, not 15 four-star and five-star guys, not 15 blue chip recruits, right? We've talked about that number over and over and over again. We didn't get 15 of those. We got 15 guys in the top 100. Those in the others in the state that are picking out for those guys are struggling around 3 at this point. So very thankful and blessed to have that. In total, it's 24 4- and 5-star guys. 24 out of 27 so far. So, we're looking at a rate of 80% plus at this point. And we were hoping to get that 16, right? 16 out of 25, and it ends up being somewhere around 66%, and we're 80 plus right now. So putting these classes back to back, all the quality that we had in the last class has really just been huge. So, what is this? I'm been racking my brain for the last week as I've been trying to figure a lot of this tech stuff out so I can bring you a better product and a better experience here. And to me, this is confirmation. This is confirmation that all those baby steps that we've been taking are paying off. They are getting us where we want to be, where we thought we could be, right? Again, this is the number one class. And we're going to talk about this. How do you go from being a occasional top 15 class getter, as we were, say, 15 years ago, getting up there every now and then, sometimes getting close as to top 10, maybe the occasional top 10 class, but rankings back then were a little splotchy, right? To now being a perennial top 10 recruiting program. How do you do that? And that's a whole conversation. We don't have time for that today. We just need to get this kind of recap. So what you do though is you go and you step into Louisiana and get the number 6 running back in Le'Veon Moss. You go to Tennessee, you go to Georgia, you go to Florida, you go to Pennsylvania, you go to Arizona, and you also kick butt in Texas. And we did that. Most of our guys come from Texas, but we are picking and choosing now who we really want out of these other states. Sure, with some competition, but we have the ability to now go get some of them. They're still thinking about Alabama and Georgia, of course, but they are thinking heavily on an even playing field about us, and that's why we went out and got Dayon Bowie from Georgia, right? That's why we got Le'Veon Moss from Louisiana, and Anai White from Pennsylvania. So we can pretty much recruit wherever we want to now and get kids that are going to fit our program and fit the needs that we have at a high quality level. And that's one of the ways that you do it. Now, how do you get that sort of favor is another question. We'll kind of get into more of that later. But, just to recap a couple things that took place over this last week, 2 weeks, you have Dindy, who decommitted from Oklahoma. And we thought Dindy might be an A&M lean, and it turned out he kind of was, obviously, but before we knew that he was going to commit, and him being down to like between us and OU, we knew his dad was coming to College Station, his family was going to be there. So with all the turmoil that took place with coaching swaps and the flips, and that really played into our favor, and staying on the trail with him made this possible. And have him over and flip with us is fantastic. So I do want you to watch some of the film of some of these guys that I collected, and I'll have this running, and we can recap a lot of this and what they can do, and you can see exactly what a lot of these guys are going to be bringing to the program. Day of early signing day, though, we flipped Killebrew from Georgia, and this guy in the secondary is going to be amazing. He really is. Some of the film that we're going to see reminds me of what we're seeing out of Tyreek Chappelle so far. Between him and Denver, we really have a lot of needs that have got addressed. Huge day for us so far. And there's hopefully more to add, and we're going to talk about that too. Really kind of a long-term take. What does this say? What does this say about us right now? And to put this into perspective, I think what I really need you to do is I need you to check your watch. And I need you to see what time it is, because Texas was today years old when they figured out that little brother is all grown up. Now, to you and I, we never thought of ourselves like that as little brother, but that's been the sort of narrative going on, and that should have been revealed last Wednesday, and then through the few extra commits we got into Friday and Saturday, especially when Denver Harris committed after his playoff game, winning the I believe Texas 6A state championship, and then committing to us. Of course, he had already signed his letter the previous day, at least, or by that Wednesday. But him being down between us and Texas, I think it should be pretty clear now. We've kind of come into our own. And if that wasn't any more evident when Evan Stewart committed, it's hard to know what else to think. What is it going to take if that's not going to be the wake-up call? You and I noticed, and we can start to move on from this, battered Aggie syndrome that we think that we sort of have, to moving on to having a level of confidence. You keep doing what you're doing, going to these games, making these atmospheres what they are, donating, making this such a fantastic program where people want to come to. We'll continue to keep getting these kinds of classes, and that's exactly what it's going to take. And then people are going to stop thinking about, oh, well, I can better my Instagram if I go to Austin, or if I go to LA, whatever it may be, that it's going to be a high, popularity recruiting area that's not necessarily currently championship based. So this is not an NIL game. If people think this is an NIL game, I beg to differ. I don't think so. I've covered this a lot. I've talked about it a lot. I don't believe that NIL has the effect that people think that it's going to have. And I say that coming from following just a lot of news, a lot of reactions from commits. And I'm going to show you a couple here. So let's go ahead and check those out real quick. This is from Walter Nolen.
Congratulations. What was it about Jimbo Fisher's program and Texas A&M that made them the one for you?
Everything about the environment that the staff and the players created over there was just seemed like home to me, and I really felt like they would help me develop as a man on the field and off the field, and later on in life and stuff that I would be able to use to make sure I'll succeed and say all the naysayers, all that, like try to prove them wrong.
So now that you've seen that, what do you think? You see what Walter Nolen had to say. If he was worried about NIL, he would have gone to UT. I'm pretty sure he meant Tennessee, by the way, when he made that comment. And then Anthony Lucas. It's not about the money. It's a nice side effect, but there's no pancake house that makes them good enough that if I am eating at that place, then I'm content with that versus owning my own franchise one day. Recruits see the big picture. You have to perform. You have to, if you're going to have NIL, you've got to build a brand. Your brand is directly connected to how well you play. You need to go to the place that's going to build that brand as best as possible. And the way to do that is to be developed, to be the best football player you can. The best brand you can have is to have the NFL thinking that you can play for them. Who cares what you're going to get paid right now? You got $3 or $4 million to get a quarterback transfer. I'm sure we do, but that's not what you want in a program as your top priority. It can be something that is a priority, but top priority, no, it can't be. It's got to be about wanting to be a part of something different. The relationships, listen to what Lucas had to say. It's about those relationships in large part, a place that's going to develop him as a man, as a human being. Last time I went into a Waffle House, they didn't do anything for me as a person. My stomach felt great afterwards, well, maybe. But no pancake house is going to grow me in that way, okay? That takes relationships, that takes mentors, and that takes time and effort. Throwing together $150,000 to say this or say that doesn't do that. Sounds great, it's catchy, but in the end it's empty. So that's what I'll say on that right now. You gotta love, though, that this class stayed together despite Elko leaving. And I say leaving, I mean this guy's being promoted. That guy's done a hell of a job over the last 4 years for us, and happy to see him grow. Love to see this coaching tree start to branch out. So he's going over to Duke, and all the guys that we recruited didn't waver, did not waver. Just bask in that for a minute, because all the transfers, all the decommitments that have happened, we even added some after that. How is that possible to add after we lose our DC? And by the way, Henson's moving on as well. He's going to go take a promotion from offensive line coach with us to offensive coordinator at USC. I mean, if you're doing your job well, you're getting promoted like that. And that's what recruits are seeing. They're seeing the job that we're doing. It's obvious. So what does that tell them for the long run? If these guys are leaving, they're seeing something more than just these guys. We have multiple guys recruiting these athletes. They are not committed to one person, which is obviously something every program is doing. But this says that Jimbo is also developing his coaches, because we're going to be able to do some promotions from within, get a DC and get an offensive line coach and keep these guys through. They see the bigger picture, and that's why they're staying. That's why they're hanging around. So overall, this has just been an huge success. Huge success. Again, I'm not sure what it's going to take for us to finally get through to those that don't think that we are a national brand. This is no longer a regional brand. Okay? This is a national brand. Like I said, we're going to Louisiana, Tennessee, Georgia, Arizona, Pennsylvania. What's next? And then we are owning Texas at this point. So this is, we have a foothold in many different areas. And that's what we want. We have another question that we're going to need to answer, though, here in the near future. We were talking about how do you go from being, say, maybe the occasional top 15 class to the number 1 class. Next question answers, how does a program go from not being a regular team to be talked about in the championship conversation to then being a year-to-year team that's in the conversation to be in the playoffs and the championship? That's the next question that we have to answer. And when we answer that question, we'll look back to this video this time, this day, to see exactly how all that went down. We're going to be discussing a lot more of this, as I'm sure. I think that we have a good chance to land at least 2 more guys on National Signing Day. And if we do that, if we get one and we hold our lead, we will likely have the opportunity to have the best recruiting class ever. Best recruiting class ever. Who would have ever said that and Texas A&M in the same breath? I guarantee you it wasn't Kirk Herbstreit and anybody else riding in the car with him that night that we so sort of infamously know as Aggies. So probably not him. But you and I, yes. We know the commitment hours that we put into this. We know that we give and give and give and cheer and cheer and cheer, and we don't waver. We are a cult, and we like that. So, huge win for us. Tell me, if you can, what it is that you think has been the biggest success so far in this signing day class. What is it that you like the most about it? What do you think it says? And what this is going to do is hopefully going to carry us into National Signing Day. We'll have the final results when we get to that. Wish we didn't have to miss out on the bowl game, but again, I do think it's for the best. We'll have a little bit of a wait till spring football. I'll be in and out with you from here on out. I'm going to do some different things on the channel. I'm really thankful to have each and every one of you so far, and I hope you like the upgrades. Let me know in the comments what you like, what you don't, and tell me more about this class. Tell me what you love. Tell me what you think we're going to do on National Signing Day. Who do you think we're going to add? Is Perkins a possibility? Or you think we're going to flip anybody else? So there's at least a couple more out there that we're looking to add. And I'm hopeful, but we'll wait till we get the letters in. So until then, thanks to Gig'em.